Hey, Falcons fans! Before I drop what might be the most insane news cycle we've seen all season, I need you to understand something. What I'm about to tell you will completely shift how you see this team's future. We're talking about a potential superstar acquisition that could change everything, devastating injuries that just keep piling up, and a quarterback situation that's about to test the very soul of this franchise. And listen, I know what you're thinking. Here we go again with the drama. But trust me when I say this, what's happening in Flowery Branch right now is either going to make or break this entire organization. We've got front office decisions that could cost people their jobs. We've got a roster that's hanging by a thread, and we've got one shot to salvage what's left of this season. So buckle up, because the next 8 minutes are going to blow your mind. And if you're not subscribed yet, hit that button right now, because you do not want to miss what's coming next in this series. Let's dive in. But hold up! If you're a true Atlanta Falcons fan and want to be part of the family that gets the hottest intel before everyone else, this is your moment. Smash that like button right now, subscribe to the channel, and activate those notification bells. Only 1% of viewers actually subscribe. Let's change that together. It's a small action that makes a massive difference. Don't get left behind in the Falcons revolution. Are your fingers ready? Then hit it now and let's soar together. All right, here's where things get absolutely wild. Last night, Diana Russini dropped a bombshell that has the entire NFL world buzzing, and trust me, the Falcons better be paying attention. Brandon Ayuk and the San Francisco 49ers are heading toward a breakup. Yeah, you heard that right. The same Brandon Ayuk who signed a massive contract extension just 15 months ago, making him one of the 10 highest paid receivers in the entire league at over $30 million per season, is potentially on the move. Now, before you start celebrating, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Ayuk tore both his ACL and MCL last season, limiting him to just 7 games in 2024. He hasn't even made his season debut yet as he's still ramping up his recovery. But here's the thing, and this is crucial. When healthy, this dude is an absolute game changer. We're talking about a receiver who can take the top off a defense, create separation in the intermediate game, and make contested catches that will make you jump off your couch. And let me paint you a picture of what this could mean for Atlanta. Imagine this: Drake London on one side, Brandon Ayuk on the other. Two receivers who can dominate in completely different ways, creating matchup nightmares for every single defense we face. London with his physical presence and route-running precision, Ayuk with his explosive speed and versatility. That's not just good, that's elite territory, my friends. But here's where the reality check comes in, and I need you to stay with me on this. We're a 3-17 that's lost 5 straight games. We don't have a first-round pick. Our cap situation is tighter than a drum. And Ayuk probably wants to be a WR1 on a contender, not a complimentary piece on a team that's struggling to find its identity. Yet, and this is the kicker, both Raheem Morris and Terry Fontenot's jobs are on the line. They cannot sit back and watch a superstar caliber receiver sign elsewhere without at least throwing their hat in the ring. This is a make or break moment for our front office. Do they go all in to save their jobs and potentially turn this season around? Or do they play it safe and risk losing their positions anyway? The relationship between Ayuk and Kyle Shanahan is clearly strained. When a player who just signed a massive extension 15 months ago is already looking for an exit, something is seriously broken. And that's where opportunity knocks for teams like us. The Niners might be willing to move him now rather than wait for the offseason, especially if they can get something valuable in return. Now, let's talk about what's actually happening with our roster right now, and I'm not going to sugarcoat this because it's brutal. The injury report this week reads like a horror novel, and we're only halfway through the season. Let's start with the gut punch that every Falcons fan felt this week. Michael Penix Jr. is done for the season. Not just out a few weeks, not day-to-day, done. The rookie quarterback has a partially torn ACL in his left knee that requires surgery, and as of Wednesday, he hadn't even had the full reconstructive procedure yet. We're looking at a minimum 9-month recovery process, which means his entire second professional season is essentially over before it really began. And look, I know there are mixed feelings about Penix in the fan base. Some of you wanted to see what he could do, others were perfectly happy with Kirk under center. But regardless of where you stand, this is devastating for a young player who was developing, learning the system, and preparing to be the future of this franchise. My heart genuinely breaks for the kid. As Kirk Cousins said this week, Penix has handled adversity so well throughout his football journey, and now he's got to dig deep and do it all over again. This puts the Falcons in a position they desperately hoped and planned to avoid. The quarterback room just got significantly thinner. They've elevated Easton Stick from the practice squad to the active roster and signed Kyle Trask to the practice squad in his place. So if something happens to Kirk, we're looking at Stick taking snaps, and let me tell you, that's not a situation any contending team wants to be in. But wait, it gets worse. Drake London, our #1 receiver, the guy who's been carrying this receiving core on his back all season long, is week to week with a PCL sprain. He's definitely out for this Sunday's game against the Saints, and there's no clear timetable for his return. Let me put this in perspective for you. London has 60 receptions for 810 yards and 6 touchdowns this season. That's more than all of our other receivers combined. I'm not exaggerating. Darnell Mooney, Casey Washington, Kaderl Hodge, David Sills V, and Ray McLeod III, who was released back in Week 8, are collectively responsible for just 35 receptions for 447 yards and 0 touchdowns. 0! So who's stepping up? That's the million-dollar question right now. Kirk Cousins said this week that he'd love to see Mooney really take off in the final stretch of the year. And honestly, that's not just a hope, that's a necessity. We need Mooney to become what we thought he could be when we brought him in. We need Casey Washington to show he belongs on this stage. We need someone, anyone, to step up and fill this massive void. So with all this chaos swirling around the organization, guess what we have to do this Sunday? We're heading into the Bayou to face our most hated rival, the New Orleans Saints. And let me tell you, the timing couldn't be more brutal. This rivalry game takes on massive significance beyond just the typical hate between these two franchises. With a win on Sunday, the Falcons would tie the all-time regular season series at 56-56. Think about that for a second. After decades of battles, after all the legendary moments and heartbreaking losses, we have a chance to even the score. But here's the kicker, a Falcons win would mark the first road win for either team in this series since Week 1 of the 2022 season when the Saints came into Atlanta and won 27-26. We're talking about a 3-year drought of road victories in this rivalry. Kirk Cousins is back under center, and he acknowledged the opportunity this week while showing genuine class about the Penix situation. He said his heart breaks for Michael, praised how the rookie has handled adversity throughout his football journey, and expressed confidence that Penix has a lot of good football ahead of him. But then Cousins pivoted to the task in hand, trying to get this team back on track and moving in the right direction against New Orleans. And that's really what this game is about, isn't it? It's not just about beating a division rival. It's about salvaging something from this season that's spiraling out of control. It's about proving that this roster still has fight left in it. It's about showing that the coaching staff can adapt and overcome when everything seems to be falling apart. Let's talk about some bright spots because, believe it or not, there are a few. Our rookie pass rushers, Jalen Walker and James Pierce Jr., are absolutely balling out. Walker has 4.0 sacks, Pierce Jr. has 2.5. Making them the second pair of Falcons rookies to each record at least 2.5 sacks in a single season since sacks were officially tracked in 1982. The last time it happened was way back in 1988 with Andrew Bruce and Marcus Cotton. Walker and Pierce Jr. are ranked first and third respectively in sacks among rookies this season. That's not just good, that's elite production from rookies. And speaking of elite production, our red zone efficiency has been phenomenal. The Falcons have scored a touchdown on 10 consecutive red zone drives, including 3 against the Panthers. One more touchdown on our next red zone drive would tie our longest such streak over the last 30 seasons, which was 11 straight back in September 2018. When we get down there, we're finishing. That's the kind of efficiency that wins games. So where does this leave us, Falcons Nation? We're standing at a crossroads that will define not just this season, but potentially the next several years of this franchise. The Brandon Ayuk situation represents a tantalizing possibility, however unlikely. The injury crisis represents a harsh reality we have to navigate. And the Saints game represents an opportunity to show some pride and fight when everything seems stacked against us. Terry Fontenot and Raheem Morris are fighting for their jobs. Kirk Cousins is fighting to prove he can still lead this team. Our young players are fighting to show they belong. And the entire organization is fighting to salvage something meaningful from a season that's threatening to completely fall apart. I believe in this team. I believe in the fight that this roster has. I believe that when we get healthy, when we get the right pieces in place, we can compete with anyone. But belief only gets you so far. At some point, you've got to go out there and prove it. This Sunday in New Orleans, against a rival that's had our number for years, with a depleted roster and everything working against us, we have a chance to show what we're made of. Will the front office make a bold move for someone like Ayak? Will our receivers step up in London's absence? Will Kirk show he can still command this offense at a high level? Will our defense continue to generate pressure with our rookie pass rushers? These are the questions that will define our season. Stay locked in, Falcons Nation. Subscribe if you haven't already, hit that notification bell, because the news is coming fast and furious, and you don't want to miss a single update. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Should we go after Ayak? Can Kirk lead us to victory without Drake? What's your prediction for Sunday? Let's talk about it. Rise up. Go Falcons!